Real Solutions with Shay
and Journey.
Okay, let's spill this tea. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to apologize to everyone for us taking such a long break with getting back to you guys with the Crushin Problems podcast. I chose to move back to Texas. Meanwhile, my mother is still in Indianapolis. So we're just trying to figure out how to do the podcast from two different states. So we're still working on that. So in the meantime, I'm coming to you guys on the podcast with my daughter, Journey. Hello, everyone. So we were watching Married at First Sight.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple on there and they're getting along really well and everything, but they're scared because they've never had any arguments or anything of how the relationship will go once they begin to have arguments, disagreements. They're just worried about will they be able to make it through those things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I feel like in order to have a healthy relationship, you need arguments and disagreements. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I feel like if you're in a relationship and y'all are not arguing, then somebody or something is not being there. Somebody's holding something in. The relationship is not being authentic because there's no way, me personally, I feel like you can be in a relationship and y'all are not arguing, which means y'all are not challenging each other, y'all are not helping each other grow. If you're in a relationship and y'all don't have nothing to talk about or y'all don't ever argue over anything, then it's probably not a really healthy relationship. Because I feel like healthy relationships, you are going to argue because y'all not just walking around keeping your mouth shut. Y'all not just walking around letting each other do whatever. Y'all not just settling.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when you are in a relationship, you should argue. No one's saying y'all should be screaming and yelling now.
Yeah. No one's saying you should be screaming or yelling or, making it be toxic. I feel like what matters is how you handle the argument. Hearing each other, not over talking each other. When you're in a relationship and love is there and memories and time, some of your arguments and disagreements are going to get a little heated, and that's okay. But I feel like it's about the way you handle it. Like, for instance, me and my husband, when we argue, I may be upset, but he'll kind of let me get out what I have to say. Mm-hmm. And then he'll be like, okay, are you finished? Can I say what I need to say? Mm-hmm. Or I didn't know you felt that way. So, now I'm glad I know. And then he'll kind of go into his part of it. Right. And we may go back and forth and our voices may raise a little bit, but we're still hearing each other because we're not over talking each other. We're not, going below the belt. I feel like that's a thing too. When people argue, they begin to go below the belt. You cannot go below the belt. You have to remain who you are. You have to remember that this is someone that you love. This is someone that you care about. And some things you can't come back from. Mm-hmm. You can't come back from those words, those names, that disrespect. It's hard to come back from that.
And I feel like arguments also help you know if your love is really unconditional as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if y'all are not arguing, how will you really know what that person would do when times get hard?
Yeah.
If y'all not having hard times, what do y'all really have? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but
yeah, it's the truth.
It's the truth.
And arguments will, like you're basically saying, arguments also will let you know how a person feels about you.
It does.
If you guys are arguing and they just walking out the door, I ain't getting ready to do this.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I'm not going to argue with you. It's okay for you to feel like you don't want to argue in the moment, or y'all might need a minute to, wind down so that it's so hot, so heated, but go in a different room.
Right.
Take a moment to
and come back to it later.
Yes, come back to it later. Don't ignore it. Don't step away from it. Don't just act like, oh, it's over, it's done with. It still needs to be talked about. It still needs to be spoken about. get to the root of the problem, because if not, it's going to continue to happen. And if you are feeling like you're constantly having the same argument, then you have to stop and think, does this person really care about me? Does this person really want to see this relationship change, get better? You have to stop, because a lot of times I feel like you have to pay attention to the warning signs inside of the argument, because some arguments will let you know, like, this relationship ain't gonna change.
It ain't.
It's not getting better. It's not going nowhere. Like, it's going to remain just the way it is, because we've had this argument now for 3 or 4 times and nothing is changing.
Right. And I feel like if y'all are arguing and you feel like you can never get your point across, or you feel like you're never heard, or you feel like they're always making you out to be the problem, but that lets you know that during the relationship, the finger's probably always going to be pointed at you.
Yeah.
And that also lets you know that person doesn't really care about your feelings, and that goes for things other than just this argument. If they can't care about you in this argument, they're probably not going to care about you in other areas.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to pay attention to those things, because they're probably doing this over here and they're showing you this in this argument, how it's finna be. Yep. Especially in the beginning. You really want to pay attention to that.
Yes.
For real. And you also pay attention to that. If y'all argue and at the end, you just feel unsettled, you don't feel better. You should feel better after arguing.
You should definitely grow, you guys.
You should feel like y'all just accomplished something. Y'all should feel closer after the argument. Y'all should feel like, ooh, got that out the way. Like
we've accomplished something.
Yes, definitely.
This relationship will now be made better after this argument.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that, because I definitely feel like you can have healthy arguments. I feel like healthy arguments help both people communicate what they really need and what they feel. It helps, build understanding and emotional intimacy. It helps teach you how to compromise and how to solve problems together in that relationship.
Yes.
I feel like these are ways of having healthy arguments. It should strengthen your relationship. It should, strengthen the trust. It should help you learn each other. It should help you basically get through the argument without falling apart.
Yes.
You should be able to get through the argument without falling apart and come out better in the end. That's how you know you're having healthy arguments. But if you're in a relationship and there is no arguing going on, there's no disagreeing going on, you have to wake up and realize it's not healthy, because somebody is not being herself. Somebody is holding.
You're not gonna sit up here and tell me that it's just going so good and it's just perfect and it's just flowing and it's just so great and nothing needs to be said and y'all just on the same page with everything. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. And I promise you, if you don't feel it now, baby, you gonna feel it later. You gonna feel it later, because you look up 3 years, 4 years down the line and you like, oh Lord, and you like, I didn't waste all this time. And because some people have a really hard time with understanding their emotions and understanding what's really going on. Sometimes those emotions don't hit for them till later.
Yes.
And you look up, you thinking everything good, and then boom, on a random Tuesday, they got all these things to say about you.
Because they've been holding it in. And then when it comes out, it's like, boom. You know what I mean? It's like an explosion, because they've been holding in 2 and 3 years of feelings and emotions
and at that point,
ups and downs.
At that point, it's too late. It's too late to really even recover the relationship. So now it feels like there's a disconnect, and it's always going to feel like there's a disconnect.
But you know what?
What?
You also you weren't fair to your mate.
No.
Because you didn't even give your mate a chance to fix the situation.
No.
You didn't give your mate a chance to fix the problem. You didn't give your mate never had a chance in the relationship, because you bottled all that in. You withheld how you felt. You never told them what you needed in that relationship, what you needed to change or be different for you to be happy in that relationship. Now you've held all that in for all these years. Now you've exploded, and now look. You wondering, you and your mate is wondering, where did we go wrong?
Yes, and then it also could be a thing of, because y'all aren't arguing and all that, you look up, you see them crying. You don't know why they crying. They don't know why they crying, and boom, they figure out later, oh, I was crying because I really feel like this about you, or I'm really not liking how you ain't had a job.
Yeah.
Or you ain't been taking me on dates, or you ain't been doing this. And people think they're okay with it in the moment, because they're not saying nothing. But in reality, you feeling this way because y'all not arguing. Y'all not talking about nothing. Y'all not having conversations. Y'all not getting deep. Y'all not learning each other. You have to learn each other through arguments. You need those arguments to even learn each other. There's no way you can say you really know a person if you ain't never even seen them mad.
Yo, yes. Yes.
No way.
You gotta be able to see that person when they're mad, because that's going to tell you a lot about how they're going to act in your relationship in general. You know, if that person, when they get mad, they start name calling, they start talking about your mama, your daddy, your kids, you know, they start talking about you, they start calling you, you know, going below the belt. That shows you how your relationship is going to be. You know, if that person is arguing and they're just being disrespectful, they're going to be disrespectful in every part of the relationship, because that is who they are. And that is what I was saying about paying attention to the warning signs.
Yes.
That is considered a warning sign.
They throwing stuff where they get mad, they hitting the wall, and they're gonna be hitting you next.
Yes.
Know that.
Yes.
They gonna be hitting you next.
Yes, definitely. Pay attention to that. Like, those are the things that are going to help you know who you lay next to every night. You know, who you waking up to. You know, who you letting around your kids. You know, it is important to have those arguments, those disagreements. And it may sound crazy because some people feel like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be arguing. No, you shouldn't be arguing every day. No, you shouldn't be arguing every day. You shouldn't be arguing a lot. But you should have arguments here and there. But you also got to pick and choose your battles.
Yes.
Everything don't have to be an argument.
No.
Some things can just be simple communication. Some things can just be letting it go because it's just not that deep.
It's not.
You know, everything don't have to be an argument. You know, you do have to pick and choose your battles. You do have to say, like, is this something I really want to argue about? Is this something I need to interfere with our whole day? Our day is going good. We're getting ready to go on a date. Is this something that's deep enough for me to start an argument before we get ready to go out and have a good time?
Yeah.
You know, you kind of got to.
And that just also too comes with learning your partner as well.
I was just getting ready to say that. You have to know your mate. You have to, you know, just like you learn your kids and your parents, you have to learn your mate. Like, you have to learn who you're with, because I'm going to tell you, if you don't know your mate, your arguments are going to be toxic because you don't know what triggers them. You don't know how to talk to them. You don't know how to, you know, reach them because you don't know them. When you're arguing and you know your mate, you know, okay, if I say this, he going to go off.
Yeah.
You know, if I do this, he's going to leave. You know, because you know your mate. It's important to know your mate. And when you know your mate, it's just certain things that if it's going to trigger them, or if it's going to upset them too badly, or if it's going to bring out a side of them that's not good, then you just don't pull them triggers.
You don't.
But you got to know your mate.
And if someone is purposely trying to trigger you, that's a major red flag, and you need to pay attention to that. No one should purposely be trying to trigger you. If you pay attention to if you tell somebody something in confidence and then y'all get in an argument and they use that against you, that is also a red flag, and that's a warning sign. And that should not be happening in an argument. You should be able to confide in your partner and know that when that argument comes, they're not going to be throwing up in your face the things they've done for you. Like, oh, I just bought you that, or like,
how you mad at me?
Literally, or trying to take things away from you. Those can also be early signs of abuse. Like, you really have to pay attention. That's why it's important that you argue. It is so important that you argue, and it is so important that you see someone in a vulnerable state, in a state where their feelings are hurt, in a state where your feelings are hurt. It's just important. There's no way you should have a relationship if y'all are arguing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I totally agree with that.
It has to happen.
I totally
agree
with that.
It has to happen.
It does. Now, I know when we were kind of talking about it before, you were kind of mentioning like the difference you feel in the way your generation is when it comes to arguing. Let's touch on that.
So I feel like my generation, when it comes to arguing, I feel like is a lot more serious now. And there's, not saying back then it wasn't, but I feel like now when it comes to arguments, you have to really be careful, at least for me as a woman. As a woman, you have to really be careful the things you do during arguments, the things you say, how you handle them, because you have a lot of people now who are killing their boyfriends and girlfriends. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of people now who, you say the wrong thing, they snap, and all of a sudden you dead. They snap, and all of a sudden they killing your whole family. they snap, all of a sudden, you think it's cool, and then down the line, this happens. So I feel like with our generation, there's so many things that are considered when it comes to a relationship. A lot of people listen to social media now. A lot of people are influenced by social media. They see things on social media and they wonder, oh, why aren't you doing that? And now, boom, y'all arguing about something little, but deep down, they really feel a way about a video they saw earlier about how this girl got some flowers for this and you didn't get her no flowers, so now she arguing with you,
they got about these girlfriend days.
Boyfriend. Yeah, now she arguing with you over this, but it's really because you ain't do this for her.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there's so many things now that cause arguments, and sometimes it ain't even really about that person. It's about something they just saw on social media, or it's about something that they family didn't said to them. I just feel like there's like back then there wasn't really social media and stuff, so when arguments were more real.
Yeah.
It was more from the heart. It was more like authentic. Yeah. Because there wasn't all these other things around that could play into the argument, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense, yes. And I mean, I feel like back in the day, you definitely had people that was killing their girlfriends, their wives. You definitely did. But I definitely do feel like it is worse today. So I definitely feel where you're saying it's a little bit more scarier, to argue now than it was back in the day. But I do feel like because even though I am older, I feel like my generation too has stepped into the new generation because of social media. So they're doing these crazy things too, and you have made a statement. We talked about it before about how these people are being praised now.
Yes.
Like back in the day, you were not praised for killing somebody or something, but now it's like they start fan clubs and GoFundMe's, and they praise these people out here that's killing their girlfriends and boyfriends, and
it's they hit you with the well, what did they do? They had to have done something. What did she?
It's the victims. The victim is the problem.
The victim is the problem, or they have so many excuses for why they did it, and it's like it's not okay. And I feel like that's why so many people have gotten so comfortable with just, oh, you done made me mad, pop.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it's became so normal. I feel like
it's the new normal.
Yes, it's normalized now. It's not a big deal. I feel like back then it used to be a big deal. Like you would hear about it more. It was talked about more. It was all over the news. There's so many people dying every day from their mates that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Because it's so normalized. Mm-hmm. I mean,
but I feel like that's part of the reason why you have to learn your mate. You have to learn your mate so that you will know what their triggers are.
Yes.
You will know what you can and can't do with them. And if it's too much, you need to leave the relationship. If it's like, I can't even have a conversation with you, I can't even have a disagreement with you without you getting mad, storming out, hitting the wall, hitting me, then like you gotta go, because 9 out of 10 chances, once that arguments get a little bit too deep, or now we on our third argument and I'm tired of this, he just may lose it. She just may lose it. So I feel like that is why it's so important to pay attention to the warning signs. That's why it's so important to know your mate, because these are the things that will let you know, like, this may end up happening to me if I don't go ahead and leave this situation, because this person is showing me time after time, argument after argument, disagreement after disagreement of who they really are. And I can see this ain't going to end well for me.
No.
This is not going to end well for me.
Yes.
So get out while you're ahead, because that's the thing. When you're in relationships and you're letting stuff go and you're ignoring these warning signs and you're, avoiding these arguments, and now it's been years and years and years, now you have built a relationship with this person where this person don't know how to let you walk out the door.
No.
This person don't know how to just let the relationship end and realize it just ain't working and let it go. But if you end it in the beginning, before all those feelings get involved, when you're first seeing those warning signs, when you're first having those arguments and disagreements, and you're seeing like, oh no, this don't look like this is going to go well for me in the end, then get out before all of that, the memories and time and romance and love, come along.
I got a question for you. So how do you feel how do you feel about, say y'all are out in public and y'all start disagreeing about something and you feel like it's going to turn into an argument? How do you feel that should be?
I feel like if you are in public and you get to disagree, and of course I feel like it shouldn't be handled in public. I feel like that is definitely something you should be able to wait till you get home. And if it's too bad where like, I can't hold this in, then y'all probably need to just end that date and head on out.
Yeah.
You know, don't be up in that restaurant arguing, fussing, because if somebody's doing that, they do not love you.
No.
Because, for real, like, if somebody is that Longhorn and you make them mad and now the whole Longhorn is knowing all y'all business, that is not love. Like, if you can't wait till we get home, or you can't say, waiter, we need to go boxes. We need to check. Round it up. We need to check immediately. Yes. And now y'all go home and handle that. If a person is okay with embarrassing you in public, going off on you, disrespecting you, yelling, hooping, and hollering all out in public, that is a problem. That is a major red flag. Because let me tell you something. We're not getting ready to do that. We're not getting ready to do that. That is when I feel like I just might end up on the news. And it's time for me to the left. Like, for real. Like, that's how how do you feel about that?
I feel like if we out in public, honestly, me personally, if we out in public and an argument starts up and you start like arguing with me and and I'm trying to like de-escalate it and you just going and going and going, to me that's a major red flag.
Yes.
Like I don't even like that. To me, you shouldn't even want to make me look like that in person. You shouldn't even want to make us look like that in public. You should be big enough to be able to be like, hey, it's getting heated. Let's go. Let's figure this out at home. Like, let's chill. Let's lay it back. If you start trying to argue with me and you make him trying to like embarrass me, that is a major red flag. That lets me know you basically don't care about my feelings. You don't care about your feelings. You don't care about nothing.
Sometimes they trying to embarrass you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they trying to embarrass you because guess what? A lot of times people be thinking they right.
Yeah.
And they be thinking like, if other people here, they gonna make you look stupid because, I know I'm right. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. It's the real. You the one with the problem, and I'm gonna let everybody in here know you got a problem.
Yeah.
So sometimes to me, I feel like people will also be trying to embarrass you. Mm-hmm. They be trying to make you look crazy and stupid out in public. I feel like they be trying to hit below the belt and trying to make people like, what's wrong with her? What's going on over there? Like, they want people to look at you like that. Yeah.
You tripping.
Yeah.
Yo, she tripping.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Yeah, then they start recording.
Yeah.
And now it's all on social media.
Yeah.
And now they got you out here looking crazy. Girl, I seen you on social media. What was going on with you and Tyrone, girl?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, I feel like sometimes too you gotta pay attention because people be trying to embarrass you.
They do.
They be trying to make you look crazy and make you look.
You got some people that will be cool with you the whole day and wait till y'all get in public and try to start something with you just so they can't embarrass you. And it's like, is you cool?
Is you all right?
Are you okay?
Is everything okay up there? Because we literally been together all day and there was no problem. Now we get in this restaurant and now all of a sudden you mad, you fuming,
you bring up something from earlier. Like, what? No, I just thought about something. Also pay attention to, like, if it also matters like how the argument starts. Like, if you bring something up during the argument and then all of a sudden when you bring something up, they start bringing up the problems they didn't have.
Yes.
Now it starts flipping on you. Yes. That is also to a really big red flag.
And they bringing up stuff from 2 years ago and 3 years ago. And they throwing that in your face. And now the argument done became about something totally different. Like, this ain't even what we talking about. Like, now they trying to switch it over to something else and make you think like you the problem.
Right.
And, now they bringing up stuff from years ago. And it's like, what you talking about? I was just talking about how, you know what I mean, how you talked to me in front of the kids yesterday. Yeah. Now you talking about how I didn't answer my phone and how I said I was on my way home.
But it took me to answer your phone either. So. Yeah.
And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you wasn't talking about this. How would you even get on this?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that too. Because you when you argue, you gotta stay on the topic.
Yes.
Like, when you gotta stay on the topic. Like, you can't be, and if they try to take it to something else, you gotta bring them back and be like, hey, I hear you on that, and we can talk about that later. But right now, I want to talk about this right here. Like, I understand your feelings. Oh, that is what I was gonna say. I feel like a lot of times people don't want to care about your feelings or understand your feelings because they feel like it's something they wouldn't be upset about. We got to stop doing that too. We got to stop feeling like because it's something we wouldn't care about or we wouldn't get upset about. Now we want to downgrade their feelings because it's like you tripping. It ain't even that deep. You just going way too far. But it doesn't matter how you feel. That's their feelings and they're entitled to their feelings and you should still care about their feelings and you should still want to fix the problem because it doesn't matter if you would be upset. It doesn't matter if you would be mad about that. They are. And that's what matters. And here's the thing. A lot of times too, y'all, I bet you wouldn't be upset. I bet you wouldn't be mad because I ain't doing it to you. It's not happening to you. You ain't experiencing it in this relationship. So I bet you can stand there and say, oh, I wouldn't even care about that. I wouldn't be tripping about that. That's so petty. Like, are you seriously mad about that?
You doing too much.
Yeah,
it ain't even that deep.
But yeah, I guess
it would be that deep
because I come home at night.
Right.
You know what I mean? I ain't out here dipping and dabbing and nothing else. I ain't disrespecting you. I ain't talking to you at the side of my neck. I ain't embarrassing you in front of the kids. I'm not doing that to you. You're doing it to me. So I guess you can stand here and say you wouldn't be upset about it because you don't know how it feels because it's not being done to you. So we got to stop doing that too. We got to stop downplaying people's feelings and emotions and stuff because we feel like it's not important or it wouldn't matter to us. It doesn't matter. Everybody's entitled to their feelings and you should respect their feelings and you should want to understand their feelings and work on it.
Yes.
And make that relationship better.
And it's also important too that people shouldn't feel like, because there are some people out there that feel like if during an argument, if it's not going left, if it's not turning toxic, do you really care about me?
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not okay. If you are in an argument with somebody, I'm not saying you won't yell, I'm not saying it won't get a little escalated, but if you're in an argument with somebody and they're not necessarily yelling at you, it's not turning toxic, doesn't mean that they don't love you, doesn't mean that their relationship is not going good, doesn't mean they don't care about you. You should not feel like someone has to
be toxic.
To care about you.
It's a lot of people out here that feel like if it's not toxic, it ain't love.
It ain't love.
And they can't do it. They gotta have that arguing, that cussing, that fussing, that fighting,
all
that walking on each other, that beating on their chest, that getting in each other's face, all that pointing, and you gonna respect me, and they feel like they have to have that. And if they don't have, like, if they just arguing and you saying your piece and they saying their piece and y'all understanding each other and y'all working on it, they feeling like this ain't it. Like,
do you even really
like you just too calm. You too cool. Like you're not doing enough for me.
Yeah.
Like some people have to have that toxic. They have to have that, and that is definitely a red flag. Because let me tell you, if they like that, they're like that. Period. Like if you're too calm on a daily basis, and y'all ain't arguing every other day,
they're gonna make an argument. Yes, and they're gonna make an argument. You're gonna be wondering why all of a sudden they're arguing with you about something little, baby, because they're trying to make an argument because
they have to have that toxic because that toxic is love to them.
It is.
When y'all arguing, y'all fussing, and y'all fighting. They like, oh yeah, he love my dirty drawers. Like, girl, baby, let me tell you. Like, that is love to them. Like, they feel like the love is overflowing to where they don't even have enough of the room in their cup. Okay, the cup is overflowing. They have to. I'm telling you, if that's toxic right there, they lose their freaking mind.
So,
like, they lose they feel like this ain't it. I got to run fast.
And be running back to their baby daddy.
Yes, and the crazy part about it is I've been there. I've been there. I dealt with issues where I did feel like because I had so many toxic relationships in the past, when I got to the relationships that weren't toxic, it was like, this is weird. Like
what you mean? You understand?
Okay. I know what I just did. He should have been mad.
Right.
Like, why is he not mad? What you doing?
Why?
Who you sleeping with?
Right. Let me know.
Because why you upset? Like, you doing stuff to get them upset, and when they don't get upset, you mad. You wonder why they're not upset. Yeah. You wonder why you ain't hooping and hollering and running through here slamming doors.
And if that's the case, you gotta really work on yourself for real, because it's not normal to be toxic. It's unhealthy. It's draining. It's draining, and no one wants that. And if you're wondering, like, oh, why is nothing working out? Oh, why do I keep running into the same thing? It's probably you. You probably need to go and do some work on yourself. It's not always the other person. And I feel like a lot of people need to realize that it's not always the other person. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's your discernment.
A lot of times it's you.
Yeah, sometimes it's your discernment. Sometimes it's you who's picking the wrong people. Sometimes it's you who's not paying attention to the warning signs. It's not always them.
Yes.
You know?
So I agree with that. I agree with that totally. That was good to touch on, because the toxic thing it's getting worse and worse. Like, and the toxic is where we're saying the other stuff comes into the killings and the putting their hands on you and all of that stuff all plays a role. I definitely agree with that. The toxic thing,
like, you want to have healthy arguments. We're not talking about toxic arguments. We're talking about healthy arguments.
We're talking about learning how to have healthy arguments with your mate. Still being able to hear your mate in the argument. Still being able to understand where your mate is coming from in the argument. Not talking over each other. Not cussing at each other. Not raising your voice to where, the kids are out there hearing it. We're not saying you're not going to raise your voice, because typically in an argument, voices do get raised. But I'm not saying to the point where it's just like, where you just like losing your mind, to the point where, I got to raise my voice a little bit so it's real. Because let me tell you something, honey. A lot of times that little sweet little, let me talk to you for a second. Can you come in for a second, sit on the couch? So here's the thing. I don't like when you leave the house and don't tell me where you're going. I really wish you would start telling me that. Now you look up a week later.
Right.
So you're still doing that, and it's really, it's really irritating me, because I told you more than once. Sometimes you gotta be like, look. I'm not going to keep doing this with you.
No.
Like, you're not going to keep walking out that door and not telling me where you're going, and not telling me you leaving, and not telling me when you'll be back. Like, we're in a relationship. We live together. You should be telling me when you're walking out that door. You should be communicating with me. I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to be back at 6:23. But you should be at least, hey, I'm about to run up the street. I'm about to go hang out with my homeboy real quick. But sometimes that little sweet communication thing, it just don't work. So sometimes you got to get emotional. You got to kind of raise your voice a little bit. Let them know this is real. Like, I'm serious about this. This is not a plaything for me right now.
But what I can say, it's not wrong to, if a relationship is still new or whatever, start off like that. But if you notice you're doing that and that's not working, or they're not receiving it, that's where, that's why we say you got to learn your partner. Because, some people that they just don't receive that. Like me, I'm a little different because, the ways I grew up. If you start like screaming and yelling at me, I'm going to shut down. I'm not going to really hear what you're saying. Like, I'm kind of the type where you kind of got to come to me a little gentler at first, and if I'm not receiving it, and you start raising your voice, okay, cool. But I'm the type you kind of gotta start off a little gentle with me, because if you come at me just screaming and yelling, I'm not gonna hear what you're saying.
And that's basically, yes. I'm not saying like off top just start going off like the first time you mentioned it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you mentioned it, you said it, and it's still going on. How many times you gonna keep pulling him to the side and just being all sweet and innocent and it's been 3-4 times now. Nothing has changed. So now it's time to let them know it's real. You might have to have that argument you don't want to have. You might have to have that disagreement you really don't want to have because you've already tried to settle. You've already tried to come into them, super respectfully. And when you argue, you should still be respectful. But you've already tried, like, hey, can we talk for a second? That's not working. How many times you gonna let him keep walking out that door and not say bye, not say where he going or where she going? Just walking out that door. You in the restroom. You come out the restroom, they just gone. We was watching Married at First Sight.
Literally.
We was watching Married at First Sight. And the girl was like, I'm really working on myself. I'm learning to like let him know when I'm leaving the house. I feel like I'm doing the work. I'm trying. I'm changing.
Right.
And me and Journey sitting here like,
that's below bare minimum.
That's below. Like, thinking that you're trying because you're telling them that you're leaving the house, that you're going to walk out the front door. That is insane.
Overly.
I mean, if she was saying that, we should just be like, oh, she want that man. No. Like, the fact that you're really saying that, you so serious about that. It's crazy. That's a red flag.
Complaining that she's been being cheated on. I bet you are being cheated on.
Yes.
Nobody's dealing with that, babe. Because if that's what you're getting excited about, means you're not doing a lot of things.
Yes.
Because, babe,
that's sure
you're telling your mate when you're leaving out the door is literally below bare minimum. Like, that should never be happening.
She was so excited about it, too.
She was.
She was so excited. Okay. And the therapists then were like, okay. They were like lost. Like, okay. But she was so for real. She was so serious. But I hope we kind of, touched on healthy arguing and the importance of arguments and disagreements in a relationship, and how, not arguing and not disagreeing is just not healthy for either one of you. But you do have to know how to have healthy arguments. You don't want to eliminate arguing. You want to learn how to get through the arguments without hurting the connection. A healthy relationship isn't one where you never argue.
No.
It's one where you argue fairly, repair afterwards, still make that person feel safe and protected, and you come out stronger in the end.
Yes.
That is what we're talking about, guys. Seriously. We're not talking about, getting up in their face, cussing them out, getting below the belt, putting your hands
not
on
letting
them.
them talk.
That's not what we talk. Yes. That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about arguing.
Because some people like, they'll feel good after argument, even if they didn't even let you speak. Like, oh, yeah, got my point across. I feel good.
Yes, because they're arguing to win.
Yes,
they're arguing to that's win. Another thing when you're arguing. You got to be arguing to hear that person and to fix the situation and fix the problem. Not arguing to win, because if you argue with somebody that's just arguing to win, it's done. It's never going to get any.
That comes from ego and pride.
Yes. If you do got to be careful, because some people do just be arguing to win. They arguing to overtalk you, to get their to get their point across and belittle you and make you feel like you're less of a person, and to get up in your face and, you heard what I said. Yeah. I know, whatever. You heard what I said. Yeah. They're just trying to win. They're not trying to get anything from the argument. They're just literally there to be toxic.
And don't think just because they do it that one time that it's not going to be like that the next time. If they're doing that, that's definitely probably who they are.
Yes, and pay attention.
You got to pay attention to that, because it's not just going to be in that one area. If they're arguing to win, they're trying to win in every area. And chances are they're probably going to be real jealous of you. They're not going to really want you to win. If you're doing better than them, they're going to feel the type of way, and you're probably going to notice a lot more arguments.
Yes.
As soon as you up, the argument's going to be up.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
wake up and turn on the lights. Wake up. Get on the lights. Get up. It's like, what's going on? They ready to argue. They ready to argue. They couldn't wait to argue. Trust me. They're out there. So, on that note, we had a great time, guys. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And once again, I do apologize for the pause in the podcast. I apologize for that. But I also want to tell you to always remember, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. See you next time.
Peace.